Alright, welcome to another painting tutorial. This one we're going to look at the Eldar Farseer. Now this came out when the last codex was released, but with the new codex out now I thought I wanted to paint up an Eldar. I picked this guy up at the new flagship store in London, England as a souvenir for myself. It's the same day that they announced the new Eldar jet bikes, and I thought, I want to paint up a new Eldar guy to commemorate the new codex, or to remember my trip. So I've seen this Craftworld in various white dwarfs a number of times. I forget which staff member it is that painted them up this way, but I really like the paint scheme. A lot of grays and a bit of blue, and the orange. It's very striking. So I thought, I want to paint up an Eldar this way. So here's the base colors. Got some Abaddon black, some Jakaro orange, and Troll Slayer on top of it there. Ashen gray for the cloak, Rhinox hide for the belting, and Mechanist standard gray for the staff and the runes on his front there. So I did all those base colors, just basically flat paints on there. Nothing really interesting to see, so that's why I just kind of zipped through that without showing it on camera. So yeah, the Troll Slayer orange goes up over top of the base just because it's a bit thinner, so it's hard to get that to work. Okay, some Teclis Blue now. What I'm doing is I'm trying to get the shading sort of a look on the grays here. So I just watered down the Teclis Blue, and I'm painting it around the recesses of everything on those gray parts. It ends up having sort of a bluish glow, kind of like how it looks. I'm not sure if I would have used a different blue for that. Now I'm putting a glaze on, a wash on here, but I decided that it was the wrong one, so here's Bloodletter Glaze. That's going on there. I just mixed that in a bit, and this is kind of working as a bit of a shade, so it's a kind of a light reddish color, and it's just tinting this orange down a touch. Alright, Skavenblight Dinge for the cloak here, so just working up some of the highlights, trying to get them blended nicely there, so thinning the paints and just kind of layering it on all those folds there. I didn't bother doing any sort of a wash on this cloak. I want it to be nice and bright, not overly shaded or highlighted, so not sort of doing any extreme highlights here. Stormvermin Fur for the next highlight here, and just trying to pick out some of the sharper edges and blend it as well. So nice and thin, getting that sharp edge along that bottom there, and trying to get these nice and highlighted up. It's important that that lower edge is a nice even line. You don't want it to be sort of thicker and thinner in many spots. So, or if it is, you want it to kind of follow the higher spots and low spots. So just trying to make sure that looks nice and even all along there. Okay, Dawnstone highlight for these runes here, and all the bone work on the front. I guess it's not really bone if I'm doing it gray, but some of the other Craftworlds it looks sort of like bones. Just highlighting that up, trying to get all the raised areas, trying to avoid the blue bits that I put in there. Touching up with the tip of my brush there, and yeah, just going over all of that. Just helps give it a bit more contrast against the cloaks behind it. Okay, some Lothern Blue, so I'm just trying to get the blues in there a little bit brighter. So again, really thin down paints, almost like a wash, and just painting around the recesses there. I just really want it to be a nice bright blue in the recesses. So when it's that thin down, you can wipe it away when you're done. Another option for this might have been to use the Nalic Oxide, or whatever it's called, the patina finish. That might have looked nice, but I chose to stay with a pure blue. Okay, so I painted the gemstones black, and I'm just going over them with Caledor Sky here, just kind of highlighting the lower halves of them and doing all those gemstones. Next up here, Teclis Blue, just working the highlights lower on the edge there, trying to blend it a little bit. It's kind of hard to get these just looking perfect, because I want to avoid messing up the edges there where they kind of come on to the next colors there. I had to go back later with a little bit of thin down black just to make sure that edges were maintained so that the shape of the gems were correct. Okay, a little bit of white scar, little reflection there. This here is always one of the key steps on all the gemstones. Without that, it doesn't look like much, but then once you put it in, it really tricks the eye thinking that it's shiny. Administratum Grey, final highlight on all the gray bits there. Oh, sorry about the focus. I guess it focused on the background. But yeah, just going through. There we go. Okay, Dark Reaper now highlighting up the black, so that's just sort of his gloves and his boots. Not a lot of black on this model. It's just trying to get that, just a subtle highlight on the grays there, or on the blacks with the sort of blue-gray. And Thunderhawk Blue, second highlight on that black. And at this point you can see I've glued them to the base. I just did some basic stone colors for that. Firedragon Bright for the orange highlights. And I'll do one more highlight after this, so this is just sort of the middle highlight. Now normally this is your second layer highlight, but I want these to be nice and bright. So this edge highlight, not even going to try to pronounce that, but just trying to get some of the edges on all the things, making sure those the runes on his mask stand out, and any sharp edges on things. And this is a really sort of a pale white or pale orange highlight. But it really helps bring out those edges. So that's it. This model is lots of fun to paint. This paint scheme was surprisingly easy. Very, very straightforward. I suppose if it was a regular Guardian, there'd be more black armor to paint up. But yeah, I didn't bother doing his eyes. Left those sort of a black. Went back and shaded those to make sure they were pure black. But maybe those could have been blue gems as well. Overall, really like this model, and it was fun to paint up. And if I had more time, I'd probably want to do a whole Eldar army in this paint scheme. It's looks really cool, at least in the pages of White Dwarf, so I wanted to try it out myself. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. Check out my other videos and my blog, and be sure to ask any questions in the comments below. See you next time.